194 committee may compile a draft report into suspended Public Protector Busiswe Mkhwebane's fitness to hold office. This after she failed to meet a deadline for written or oral submissions. The committee resumed its work today, and we're now joined by Committee Chairperson Richard Dyantyi. Thank you very much, sir, for your time this afternoon. We know that the session just pretty much concluded. The last time we spoke, you mentioned that the 28th of July being today, the draft report may be ready. Where do we stand?
Thank you, Rizile, and good afternoon to Newzroom followers. We've just taken a lunch break. We're not concluded yet. It's going to be a longish day. Yes, today is the 28th of July, as we indicated. Today, it's about the draft report. So I would have explained when we started that the draft report would not have been brought into the meeting by anybody, evidence leaders, or anybody else. The members themselves have already started, as I speak to you now, doing that draft report themselves in a transparent, open manner. Everybody now knows how we're going to be doing this. So it didn't come into this meeting already prepared because it would not have been done by members. So members must do that report. That's their mandate. It can't be done by evidence leaders or any official. So we are now in that space of doing the report ourselves. We've just started.
Oh, okay. So when you say committee members are doing the draft report themselves, what does that mean and how does it work?
Yep. So what it means, Busiswe, is that the members have got the entirety of evidence. They've got the report of the independent panel, which said there's prima facie case for Public Protector Busiswe Mkhwebane that she would have committed misconduct or incompetence. You know that we then said we're not going to rubber stamp that, we're going to investigate it. We would have called witnesses, 24 of them, that came and gave testimonies. Advocate Mkhwebane would have given her own statement under oath, parts A and B, responding to those witnesses. And the evidence leaders summarized the entirety of evidence, which was a massive thing. So what we're doing today, as an example, members are going to be answering questions whether, in this question, whether suspended public protector met with the presidency, yes or no. They said no. Did she fail to disclose information? Was this meeting secret? They're answering those questions at the end. That will then assist us in indicating whether she did committed misconduct in relation to this. Because we look at the report that would have gone to court, what should have presented here in front of this committee, and you see there would, in certain matters, there would be discrepancies. Nothing is corresponding. And so this is how the members are doing the report themselves. At the end, the report would then say she has committed misconduct, she's incompetent, based on the facts and evidence that painstakingly we're doing. It's a very tedious process, but we're doing it step by step, charge by charge. Charge one is about lifeboat or the CX matter or South African Reserve matter. That's what we've started with. We're going to go through that to conclude with all of the sub-charges and then go to the next one, which is pre-AD, go to the next one, and so on. At the end of doing that, that would be our report as the committee.
Okay. Am I understanding you correctly, sir? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Are members now dealing with sort of like multiple choice questions where, like you mentioned, maybe the CR7 report, did she do this, did she do that, yes or no? Is that the format of what members are doing?
That's how tedious we're doing it, because nobody else must do that. Nobody else can do that. Only the members, because they are the ones mandated to do that. Everybody else, legal advisors and evidence leaders, are supporting us in that process. So we're going to share. We're even going to have dinner today, going through this and doing that. It's a first of its kind, because when you go to court, you only see a judgment delivered. You never see the judges arguing about whether this should go or not go. This is a very pioneering process, which might be empowering scholars, students, lawyers, and everybody else about how did we come to this conclusion. Everybody will know why we make this decision, and why we don't make this decision.
Dr. Dyantyi, what then do you say? Like you rightfully say, it's the first of its kind that may pave the way for those who are coming after this committee, but there's a gaping hole because the Public Protector has not submitted the answers to those written questions, and we know the backstory to that, especially because of time constraints, etc. But there's such an integral part of that report that is missing.
We have no report missing, no evidence missing. She elected not to respond, and by so doing to Busiswe, she then is leaving everything else that we have unchallenged. And so we're going to be basing our decision on what we have. We have her own statements that she's taken under oath after the witnesses were here. We have that. She would have cross-examined witnesses. We have the report of the independent panel. We have got ample evidence. And so hers would have been to amplify what the witnesses were saying, which she did in Part A, because she took us through amplifying that orally for over 6 days. So we do have evidence. We don't have any gaping hole.
Okay. As you mentioned, it's going to be a long day ahead. Are you confident that you will meet today's deadline? Will we have something to take a look at in terms of the draft report this weekend or next week, potentially?
Certainly next week you're going to have a report from this committee because we're going to work throughout until late. If there's a cleaning of that report that must be done, that would happen. But I hope that the next time I speak to you next week, you would have in your hand the report of the committee, because once we're done with that, I'm still going to give her about 7 days an opportunity to comment on our own report before we take it to Parliament. She's going to have that opportunity.
Okay. Just one last question. Is there consensus in terms of the work of putting together this draft report? As you've been sitting in the session throughout the course of the morning into the afternoon, how would you characterize the discussions that have been had?
It's exciting, and I hope that we can give you one clip where I put a question and the members come in. It's exciting and very robust because there will be different views. For example, there was a different view, a member saying this is not secret, it's undisclosed, and then the debate ensued. Members indicating that it is a secret meeting because there's information concealed and so on. So it's just so interesting to go through this. So you don't have one view, but it's a plurality of views, and at the end we come to a particular conclusion and decision, having gone through those and listened to everybody else.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for your time this afternoon. Chairperson of the Section 194 Inquiry, Richard Dyantyi.